Hello folks, and welcome to our presentation on how to weightlift in sports, particularly professional football, NFL, Major League Baseball, and professional basketball, the NBA. My name is Christopher Carr, and I'm happy that you can attend. That when I used to play sports, I would get into some trouble when I weightlift and play my sport at the same time. When playing baseball, I would compromise my range of motion and hand-eye coordination when either throwing a baseball or swinging a baseball bat. So I know the importance of weightlifting can give it a competitive advantage in most any sport, but there's certain ways to train so it will not inflict with our sport-specific off-season. Okay, a pre-season, which is right before the regular in-season, and then our fourth one is the postseason. And just to give you a little refresher, off-season is where we make our gains. That's when we're going to become big and strong. If you need to have a bigger body, this is where you do it right here. Okay, where you become stronger and more powerful too, and more broad. Okay, here also in the off-season, you'll see that as far as weightlifting is concerned, you will do 80% of your training will be weightlifting. Okay, 80% is weightlifting, while 20% will be more sport-specific movements. Now, when you do this 80% weightlifting, it varies. Coaches differ in how they train their athletes based upon which sport it is and what they need for their strengths and how to capitalize and make their weaknesses more strengths. Some coaches believe in a lot of multi-joint movements, focusing on the core and explosive movements. They will train a lot of muscles at one time to get stronger and bigger. You know, some of the basic ones are the squat and the deadlift and the bench press and any of the explosive movements like power cleans and snatches and push presses and push jerks. That is really good for coaches. Prefer exercises that are not as taxing on the core, so some people can be more agile. But this is the time to do it. If you were going to do it at any time, you do it in the off season. Okay? That 20% focuses more on the different running drills that a running back would do, or your sport-specific preference. Okay? The days of week are highest for the off season, which is 5 days plus a week. You have the availability to train 5 days plus a week. Okay? Now we see here in the different sports, in the NFL, the off season lasts from March to July. In the Major League Baseball, okay, after October when the World Series is done, from November to February, right before spring training. And the NBA is basically from July to September. In October, their intramural game starts. Okay? Now, preseason is right before in-season, about a month before spring training and a month before intramural football and basketball. And here, you are now going to, now also, might I add, in the off season, you have more volume. You're doing a lot of reps and a lot of sets. Here is where you do less volume and you increase the intensity, okay? That's where you're going to lift a little bit heavier weight. What you're allowed to do while also bumping up your sport-specific training, meaning more your running drills, your shuttle runs, your sprint intervals, anything like that. Okay? And in baseball, your baseball practices, your batting cage for your pitchers, you're throwing 70 pitches, 100 pitches, okay? Your fastballs. So you don't want to compromise that. This is where you'll stay away from the bench press as a pitcher, or you'll do light bench presses, okay? Now this right here is 3 days a week for weightlifting on the average, okay? Now again, in the off season, you can do 5 days a week or more, but you don't have to. You can train really hard 3 days a week, and that can be good too. All right? Now, for the preseason, the NFL, it lasts from basically July through August, okay? And for Major League Baseball, it's from February to March. This is where you get into transition, almost into spring training. And from the NBA, from September to October. In October, the NBA starts their basketball games, their intramural basketball games, okay? And this is also likely when an NFL football player will go to a sport-specific camp. Okay, we have a number of ones here in Florida. I'm right here based out of Margate, Florida, around Coconut Creek area. We have My Speed Trainer, Pete Bommarino Performance Systems, We have velocity training, I believe, in Jupiter, and a number of things. And you can train on your own. You don't need to go to one of those places, but they can help you in many ways. Some things you may not agree with. You may not want to do what they're doing, and it may be for legitimate reasons. So every person is specific to what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do. At what cost are you willing to do it concerning your body? Now, in season, this is where you decrease your volume. You're doing a lot more practices, you're doing a lot more drills, okay? And a lot less weightlifting. And your weightlifting that you're going to do is going to be your prehab and rehab. You're going to be doing preventative exercises. It's for preventative exercises so you will not get injuries. That's what we call prehab. Now, rehab is where if you have injuries, which many of us will have injuries, depending upon the severity of them, this is where you rehabilitate them. And you also will lift weights, usually around 75% of 1 RM for many sports, where it's not too high intensity, but it's enough to maintain the strength and power output that you worked here so hard in the off season. You became so much more faster, quicker, explosive, and you want to keep this because now you're doing a bunch of games and you're running around and you're going to lean down more and you may not be as broad, but you're going to still keep some of that because you're still going to do some weightlifting at least 1 to 2 days a week. And you'll do a little bit more high intensity and you'll dilate your muscles just enough so you can keep your agility in basketball. You can do your hand-eye coordination and stabilization and range of motion in baseball. And you can also have some broadness in football, but you can also be more agile on the field, okay, and make sharp cuts and things of this nature. The in-season for football is basically from August until February, okay? And around late January is when the regular season ends, and then that's when they go for the Super Bowl. The Major League Baseball spring training starts in March, official season starts in April, and ends in October with the World Series. Okay? In NBA, October is when the intramural games start. In late October is when the NBA starts, and it goes through June. Okay? And then we have our postseason. Now, many of us may not acknowledge this, but this is very important. This is where we regroup psychologically. And in here, it usually lasts anywhere from a week to 4 weeks to 6 weeks, depending upon the intensity, the psychological intensity, and beating on your body during your in-season. Okay? And so here you de-stress, you just have a good time. You know, you walk on the beach, you go swimming. You don't do any training. I mean, you can go for walks on the beach and swim, but you don't really count that. You just do it at your leisureness. Okay? Maybe you want to see a sports psychologist. This may be something really good to do. Okay? Days per week, none. Okay? Now again, this will last between 1 week to up to 6 weeks, and depending upon what you need to get done, starting again here in the off season, and how much time you have to work with when going into the in season, because you can't take too much time off. Okay? But you need enough to relax, spend time with family and friends, see your kids, and do some meaningful things that life is really about, okay? And NFL, this lasts from basically February to March. In Major League Baseball, this lasts from October to November. And in NBA, this is from June to July, okay? And if you have any more questions, we also have an ebook, which you can have the writing of this, all this in an ebook, and the writing of the periodization principles and the reasons why what we do. And basically, I organize this in this manner, and basically because it most easily, effectively, and efficiently creates an athlete to their best potential for their goal in whichever sport they're applying themselves, so that they'll have that maximum strength, absolute power, speed, momentum, agility, all that combination, just at the right intensities they need to be at the top of their game. I thank you very much for watching our presentation today. And remember, above all, have fun and exercise. Yeah! Yeah!